Hello, hello. It is Erica with Holy Rustic and Redheaded Princess Designs, and I am here to unbox and create your April tier tray box with you. So I'm so excited about this month's box. I absolutely love the designs for this month. They turned out so cute, and I cannot wait to paint them with you. So open your box, grab you a drink. This is water. And let's get painting. I'm going to switch you around so you can see what is on our table here. I had to double check and make sure my microphone is on. There we go. All right. So we have our kit here. I have already taken it out of the plastic so we don't have to hear rustling plastic. This month is all about April showers bring May flowers. We went with a cute little daisy theme for our wagon club and our tier tree club. So we've got a little banner, our car, a little fresh as a daisy, and then we have this hello sunshine. I think that goes in there. Where does this piece go? It goes on our car. Okay. It goes over here. All right, so we are going to get started. Just remember, there are plenty of ways you can tackle these kits. Whatever works best for you. I'm going to grab my painting towel here and a brush, and we're going to go ahead and start with this Hello Sunshine sign. So it just says Hello Sunshine, and then it has a little flower. All these little flowers have centers, so just be aware of that as you're pulling your pieces off, so you make sure you know where everything is. We have a really pretty blue and light blue kind of palette, blue and yellow, which is just so springy. So I'm going to start by base coating our Hello Sunshine round here with a little bit of that blue. I'm going to throw some white in my first coat with this just to give it a little more grab so that I don't have to put as much paint on here. That'll make my blue, my second layer of blue, just pop a little bit easier. And I am just pulling straight across here once I get that paint on to make sure all my paint strokes are going in one direction. I'm not worried about the engraved lines where it says Hello Sunshine. Those are just there to show me where to put those pieces. I'm going to let that dry for a hot minute here, and we will go ahead and do this outside rim, the little frame for this circle, in white as well. You could grab your makeup sponge to do this if you're not really neat with your brush. But after painting so many of these, I have kind of figured out how to hold my brush so that I'm not pushing a bunch of paint over the edge here. I like that clean edge that the laser gives us. So I do not paint the edges of my pieces. You can do whatever works for you. I know some people that stresses them out if they get just the tiniest bit of paint down there. I am more like, it doesn't bother me. It's okay. I'm going to grab some of our tape here. This is just a painter's tape. And I'm going to lay this down so I can put my flowers and stuff on here to make it easier to paint them. So I just fold the ends of the tape under and then stick it right here to my table so that I can paint all of my little pieces. So let's start by gathering up these centers of our flowers, because those are all going to need to be painted. And this way, by using the tape, I'm not chasing them around the table. I'm not trying to hold these tiny little pieces with my fingers. The idea is that you get less paint on your hands, and I say that while I already have paint on my hands, even though we've only painted one thing. But that's the idea behind it. So I'm going to go ahead and throw all of our smaller daisies over here. These are just so stinking cute. I love them. I love them. I love them. Okay. What color do we want to do? If we're going to do that in blue, I think we'll do the Hello Sunshine in yellow. And maybe, let's see, we'll do this in white. All of this will be white as well. That's going to be mostly white. We're going to do this one in yellow. I just kind of divide up my pieces so I kind of know where I'm at. And I can paint all of this kind of at the same time, and I don't have to go back and forth, back and forth. You can do whatever works for you. If this feels complicated or like too much to try to figure it out all at one time, do one little sign at a time. I had someone tell me one time that they like to open their box and they set it out in their craft space, and then they just do like one little piece every day, and it makes it last longer and they get to really enjoy it. So if that's what you like to do, by all means go for that, because there's no rules here. You this is yours and you can do whatever you want. All right, these are blue, and then we need, okay, I think I have things where I can start painting. So in all of our kits, we include a makeup sponge. We love to use these to paint all these little pieces. It just keeps you from pushing a bunch of paint over the edge with your paintbrush. I'm going to start with everything that's white because that will keep me from having to necessarily clip the sponge too early. And what did I say we're going to do white? I said all of this is white over here. So we have our little fresh as daisy sign. The other great thing about this sponge is that these engraved letters here, I won't end up pushing a bunch of paint down in there because I don't have a ton of paint on the sponge. So you can see I'm using the rectangle end of the sponge. I'm tapping off over on this side here to kind of get some of that excess paint off. So I'm not coming over here with big gobs of paint. It's much better to do thin coats and do a couple of quick thin coats than to try to put all the paint on there at one time. All right, while we've got this, we're going to go ahead, we're going to do the bottom of this flower pot here. And all these daisies that we pulled the centers out of, and I could tape them down. It might make them a little easier if I do that. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll just put down one more piece of tape and tape all these guys down here. Boop. There we go. Now I can just easily come across and I don't have to worry about picking them up, moving them around. It's just a much easier way to paint things when you have these little pieces like this. So just remember, we don't want a ton of paint on here. If you're going into that big pile of paint, you want to kind of tap off over on this side before you come over here onto your pieces. Otherwise, you're going to come over here with a bunch of paint, and that kind of defeats the purpose of using a sponge. White, you're going to need a couple coats of white in order to get nice coverage with white paint. That's just how it works. So, and these are all going to be yellow, so I'm going to give them a coat of white as well, because that will make my yellow pop a little bit more, and I won't have to do as many coats of yellow if I just give these a base of white. I got that a little close to the edge. I'm going to move it up just a smidge so I don't break that. Sunshine. Okay, and we'll go ahead and do these centers. This is going to be blue. And let's come back with our second coat over here. See how much brighter that second or third coat is? The other thing about putting too much paint on the sponge, if you use a ton of paint on that sponge, you're also going to get a lot of texture, which you may or may not like. So by using smaller amounts of paint and just quick light coats, you're going to not have as much texture into your paint, which is how I prefer for that to be. All right, bottom of this flower pot. I'm just holding these so that they're not making quite as much noise on the table. Come back across all of this. We'll just go back over these pieces that are going to be yellow while we're coming across this tape here. We might as well just give them another quick coat, it won't hurt. And let's go over this frame again with some white. If we're using the thin coats, the paint's going to dry pretty quick for you as well, which is also nice. This wood, it soaks that paint right up, and so you're going to see that it's going to dry really fast. So you're going to easily be able to come back. You notice I went over everything and I'm already back to where I started to be able to put another coat of paint. That's how quickly those thin coats of paint dry. If you're noticing that you're coming back and it's not dry, then your paint might be a little too thick. You might want to not have quite so much paint on your sponge when you're coming across. Just nice thin coat. Those first couple coats, it's going to look like you're not covering anything, but trust me, by the second, third coat, it's all going to look nice and bright white. Okay. All right. I'm liking that. I'm going to go over this frame one more time. And let's see. We're going to do the bottom, I think. So the daisies is white, the flowers is blue, the sunshine is going to be yellow. So let's do this middle section of this in white. It's a little three-tiered sign that goes up there, and we'll paint these two sections, knowing that we're going to paint that bottom one probably blue. And you know what? We just paint the whole thing. We'll make our life easier right now if we just paint the whole thing. As I'm thinking, I'm going to do this top in yellow. So if I do that, I'm going to want that white base underneath there. Okay, give that just a second to dry so I can put another coat on it. And that can definitely be done with a paintbrush. No big deal there. Okay. That is looking pretty good. I feel like this could use one more quick coat. And I like that. Okay. We'll come back over that with a brush. I think that will be better for that bigger space. You don't want to paint too big of spaces with your sponge, because you will end up with like all these marks and stuff in it. So you don't want to paint big things with sponges. The little things are great, the letters, that kind of stuff. The sponge works really well for that, but we don't want to paint big sections with our sponge. But notice how I can still see. I'll show you. I can still see the words inside of that very, very clearly. That's because I used the sponge. If I had used my brush on that, you would not be able to read that, and I would have to try to go back over it with a paint pen or something. Okay, let's do yellow next, because yellow is easy to go into from the white, so I don't have to clip my sponge. Again, I'm dabbing over here on my table, so I don't have a ton of paint on my sponge. And I'm going to do the sunshine, this arrow that says Fresh Picked Daisies, and this Hello Sunshine. Oh my gosh, I love that shade of yellow. It's so bright and summery looking. I love it. I love it. Is anybody else just like their soul is happy that the sun is shining and that we are 98% done with winter? I always say that because you never know around here. It could snow in May. That's just how it works. But I feel like we're mostly done with winter, and I am loving the sunshine. It just makes my heart happy. All right, I'm going to do these little centers for the flowers in the yellow as well. So that is my yellow. And look how great that popped with that white underneath. Perfect. All right, we're going to grab our brush, dry it off, and I'm going to pick up white, and I'm just going to go over this. I'm not worried about that where it says Daisy, because that is just to show us where to place our letters. And I'm not terribly worried about the coverage on the top and the bottom rectangle here, because I am going to put other colors down there. I'm more worried about this middle rectangle being really white. The other ones, not so much. And I'm being careful, trying not to drag too much paint around that edge. If you come right across your piece, instead of more up and down with your brush, that's how you keep those brush bristles from traveling across the edges, and you keep that nice clean edge there. Let's go back over this with some of our blue. There we go. Yeah, we added a little white that first time. So this time we're going in with more of just the blue. I have some white on my brush just because I didn't completely rinse it out. But you can see how much, now that color really pops because I put that white base down with the color first. So if you like the more muted colors, you can stick with, you know, adding the white and stuff. If you want to go a little bit brighter, just go in, put your white down, and then come back and do the color, and you'll get that nice bright pop of color. I've got some streaks here because I had that white on my brush, but I kind of like that look that I'm getting. It makes it look kind of more like wood, and gives me this kind of plank look. So I'm just going to embrace that and let it be. All right, our little car is also going to be that blue. So while we have that on our brush, let's just do that. And you can see here now what it looks like if I don't put the white down first. See how that is definitely going to need more than one coat, which is fine. All right, careful here. And I've got that. And then our little bumper piece needs to be blue as well, but I'm also going to do this word in blue, so I'm going to leave that. Okay, so Daisy's is white. So I think we'll do that in yellow, and we're going to do this bottom one in blue. Simple color palette here. Nothing too crazy. White, blue, yellow, a little pop of green. And that is pretty much the color palette. And I'm just being real careful and coming right up next to that etched line so that it's fairly straight. I want you to remember that these are hand painted pieces. They're not meant to be perfect, so it's okay if it's not a perfectly straight line. Just embrace whatever happens as you're painting. Everybody has their own style when they're painting, their own way of doing things, and so you do what works for you. Whatever makes your heart happy, whatever you enjoy the most, do that, because there's no rules. I am just showing you one of many ways that you could paint this. And if you look at this and you go, blue's not really my color, I prefer other colors, you could do pinks, you could do purples, you could do all kinds of crazy things with this. So whatever you want. All right, there's our car. He's going to need another coat. I want to do this banner as well. And I think I want to do it, so it's going to get the daisies on it. So we could do blue, could do 2 of these blue and 2 of these yellow. I think that will be the easiest way. I was going to make this more complicated than it needed to be, and I don't want to do that. So we're going to go with blue and 2 blue and 2 yellow pennants here, because we don't need to overcomplicate things. Okay. So we're just going to paint a quick coat on there and a quick coat over here. And then we'll come back and do a second coat. And I could throw a little white in here with this blue so that my base coat has just a smidge more grab to it. It just covers better. Your color's gonna pop more when you put that white underneath. Okay. My car still needs another coat. So let's work on him. Okay. Beautiful. All right. Come back to these. See what I'm saying? By the time you get done with one piece, that coat is dry and you can come back for your second or third coat, wherever you're at there. And you'll notice, maybe you will notice, is if I start here in the middle and I start pulling my brush across, that was a lot of white. What I tend to do, once I get the paint on there where I like it, I will do some longer brush strokes to really just smooth out any little ridges that I may have created with that brush by starting kind of in the middle section there. So that's important. Because a lot of times what I see is they'll come in and they'll do this right here in the middle. And then they're like, well, I have all these brush lines. And you may not be able to see them super well on the camera, but trust me, in real life, they show up a lot. So what you need to do, kind of that finishing stroke, is just pull all the way across and you'll have more of a finished look without all those little brush strokes in there. Okay, we need to rinse this. And we're going to set that over there. We're going to go back over this with the white because I accidentally put some blue in there. I got a little happy there with my paint and it kind of splattered. So we're just going to go quick, coat of white there, and I'm just going to pull all the way up here to the top because I got some blue up there as well. And I'm going to paint that yellow, and so yellow does not cover very well. So definitely want that to cover. Let's do these guys while we've got that white on our brush. We're just going to give them a quick base coat of white. Normally I do not base coat this many things with the white. People always ask me, do I need to gesso everything? Do I need to put base coats down? It's totally up to you. If you put the base coat down, you're not going to have to do as much work by putting all the layers of the color. That does help you there, but I don't always love to base coat everything because it's not fun, in my opinion. So I don't usually base coat this much, but because we're using the light blue and the yellow, we kind of have to put a little more oomph into that paint. All right, we're going to do the leaves and the stem here are green on this daisy. So I'm just going to paint those real quick there. Blue. Okay, our car windows are kind of a gray. So I'm just going to take white and a teensy bit of black. And I'm going to put that just kind of here in the middle where the windows are going to shine. I don't have to paint this whole piece. It's the car goes on top of here. I just want to be sure where the windows are that is gray. And then I'm going to go ahead and do this base in this black as well. And what else do we have? We've got a little stand, which I'll show you how to put that together. I'm not going to worry about that. And we have an easel. I don't usually paint these because I like to be able to use them for all my kits. So it just slides together like that, and I just leave them the natural wood. You're really only going to see a couple parts of that easel anyway. So I don't I don't worry about that. All right. There's that. We need to do, oh, these little wheel pieces. They should be more gray. And then we got to do our tires. Okay, so there's those. The tires, I don't want to use that giant brush for the tires. So let's grab a little smaller brush here. And we will paint our tires with our black. I'm just going to come around the circle here. So just kind of sit your brush down and spin it around. I always tell the kids, you're going to spin it around like a ballerina. So you kind of set it down and spin it. And it's more in the rolling of your fingers with the brush to get that little circle. If that seems difficult, you could always use like the bottom of a marker, or they have little round sponges you could use. I'm not going to stress about this. If my car does not have perfectly round tires, it'll be all right. Should be okay. All right, there is our tires. Okay. Where are we at? I rinsed that out really well. And I got a little blue over here on these. That blue, I don't know what I was doing, but I splattered it all over the place here. Got a little crazy. Okay. Those are going to be yellow, and those are going to be blue. Let's do, okay, Daisy's is white. I don't know how many times I have to tell myself this. We're going to paint this top one yellow. Y'all are probably like, get it together. When you paint yours, you're going to have that inspiration photo that's going to come in your box with our basic directions. So you can refer to that. If you want to paint it exactly like I am, you can use that as your reference. You don't have to try to keep all this straight in your brain like I am right now. All right, let's do these in yellow. I have a general idea kind of what I'm doing here, and then I just kind of make it up as I go along when I'm painting these for the first time. And so that's why there's so much like, okay, this is yellow, that's blue, kind of because I just have to make sure I get things the right color. I don't want to do more work than I have to. It's not the end of the world if you paint something a different color and you decide you don't like it. You know what? Just let the paint dry and paint over top of it. I tell people that all the time. It's just paint. It's not the end of the world. It will be fine. Paint dries, you can paint over top of it. You could do 957 layers on it if you want. It is okay, my friends. This is meant to be an enjoyable time where we're just creating and relaxing and not thinking about all the crazy stuff in our lives. We're just enjoying the moment. And so we don't need to stress about what we're painting. We need to just breathe and look at the color that's coming off of our paintbrush. That is important. So if you're not a member of our Tier Tray Club, this is one of our 3 subscription boxes that we offer here at Holy Rustic. It is a monthly subscription that gets delivered to your door each month. Each kit is a surprise. These kits are exclusive to our club. You can't find them on our website. You can't go buy this on the website. It is exclusive, and it's always a surprise each month. I try to theme them with whatever's going on with the season, and I try to make the wagon and the Tier Tray Club go together so that if you want to display them together, you can. If you want to be in both clubs, then you can be in both, and you have a cute little display that you can set on your mantle. If you don't own a tier tray, you don't have to have a tier tray. These pieces work really great on like a coffee bar or a shelf, or you could put some hangers on the back and attach them to a wreath. So there's lots of ways to use these without necessarily using them as tiered tray pieces. Inside your box, you're going to get all the pieces for that month's kit. You're going to get a paint kit that's going to give you all the paint colors for this month. You're going to get some little craft glue that you're going to use to put everything together here in a few moments. You're going to get a makeup sponge, and you'll see I just clipped this because I had the yellow on there, so I just clipped straight across, and now I can use it for my blue. And you can just keep using this until there's no sponge left. So even though we only send you one sponge, you can use it for a lot of colors. So yeah, you're gonna get the glue, you're gonna get the sponge, you're gonna get the paint. You're gonna get any like string for your banner, that kind of stuff if you need that. And you're going to receive a coupon code that you can use for anything for that kit. So the Tiered Tray Club, you're going to get a coupon code you can use for any of our tiered tray items on our website. Same with the Wagon Club, it's for wagon items, etc., etc. And then you're going to get your inspiration photo and some basic directions. So if you don't want to sit here and listen to me yammer on, you can just look at the picture and paint it and glue it together. I find once you've done a couple of these kits, they're pretty easy to put together. Occasionally this one does have kind of this odd stand, which we're going to go over, but for the most part, they're fairly easy to piece together once you've done a few. Sometimes people get a little nervous and they want to watch a full tutorial, so that's why we're here. But it's just a fun way to do something creative for yourself each month. You know, it is so good for our brains to create things, and so this is a great way to sit down, take an hour or two, and just make something pretty that you can put up at your home. I'm going to add just a little bit of shadow and highlights around on some of these pieces. So I'm going to use my sponge to do that. And what I do, same way as before, I have very little bit of paint on here. I mean, the tiniest amount of paint possible. And I'm going to come along, I've got my car here. I'm going to come right along the edge, and I'm coming right on that edge and just barely tapping that sponge just to give us a little bit of, it's almost like a highlight around the edge. It just makes it just a little extra, makes it pop a little bit. And I'm just coming right along that edge and barely pushing that sponge. You'll see I'm coming, this is how we're going, okay? I'm not on top, I'm not right on the side either. I'm just barely on the edge of that piece, okay? So I'm going to do that to that. I might, these kind of have a weathered look to them already, so I might just leave those like they are. What else do I want to do here? I feel like I haven't done very much to this kit, but there's really not a lot else to do to it. We could do some polka dots or some splatter. What do y'all think? Polka dots and splatter, or leave it simple? Sometimes it's good to just keep it simple. I think we'll just keep it simple this month. All right. I need to put the centers on those daisies, but I'm going to start gluing first. So like I said, inside your box, you're going to have a little craft glue. I have a bigger bottle that I keep here on my desk. It just makes my life easier. I'm not using tons of those tiny little bottles, but you're going to have craft glue. It's going to work the same way as this. You're going to flip your pieces over, and you're going to do just a dot, not a lot of glue on here. Just run that glue right along the edge of those pieces like you're putting on a lipstick. We don't want big gobs of glue, okay? And we're gluing those pieces down. So we've got these two car pieces just kind of sandwiched together. You can see now what I was saying about the windows earlier. Little baby dots here for our hubcaps. Cute. We've got this little, I don't know what you call this piece. I'm an artist, not a mechanic. We got this little piece for our car here. Or maybe it's a fender. I don't know. We're going to put that on. Just like so. And that's why I said I don't care if my tires are perfectly round, because look, that goes right around the tires. And you can never tell that this tire was a little squishy. It's fine. All right, this little sign that says Fresh Picked Daisies, that was yellow. It's going to go on our car here. How cute is that? And we're going to put one of these little daisies over here. One of the little baby ones. We'll put her right there. And she's going to look so cute. And I need to do the little dot for the middle of the daisy. So I'm going to use the bottom of my paintbrush, dip it into my yellow, and then just plop right there. While I've got that on there, I'll just come over here and do these guys. I'll just have to be mindful as I'm picking them up, that I don't smear that. Watch, I'm going to smear it. That's what's going to happen. Okay, so there's our car. I'm not 100% sure where all these little baby daisies are going to go, so I'm going to leave them over there. I may end up putting some more on the car. We'll see how that goes. All right, we have this. Let's do this sign. Let's do the sign. Where's the, oh, here it is. Oh, Lord have mercy. That may have been supposed to be a yellow piece. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nope, I don't know where that dot goes. Okay. I'm going to go around the edge here. Boop. And we're going to put this one down. How cute is this little hello sunshine sign? Say that 5 times fast. All right, we're going to put some glue here. This has the etched line so we can see exactly where to put these pieces. Makes it super easy. I don't think this is the right flower. Okay, we're going to go with the biggest daisy here. And then the little center goes right in there. Now, if you end up with a bunch of paint inside of there as you're painting, you're going to find that these little dots are going to be much tighter than they were originally. It's not the end of the world. If you get too much paint in there, take you a little bit of a nail file and file it down. It'll be fine. But sometimes we get a little heavy with the paint in some of those little spots, and then they don't fit together correctly because it's a very tight fit originally. So even a tiny bit of paint makes a difference. So just be aware of that. All right, here's our little hello sunshine. Let's see here. Guess I can put a couple little daisies on the car. Sorry about that, my friends. Okay. Sunshine. I just love this one. It's just so bright and happy. It's a fun little transition from our Easter decor. Easter's, you know, pretty early, I think. And so this is a fun transition. I'm not quite ready to put summer up, but I do still want something bright and colorful. All right, so there's hello sunshine. We can do our little banner. So this is going to get these little flowers. Boop, boop, boop. This glue, your craft glue, is going to dry clear, and then you just want to be sure you let these pieces lay completely flat for 24 hours before you put them up. In about 10 to 30 minutes, it's going to seem like that glue is set, but I can 100% promise you it is not. It's a very tricky glue, and if you go and set everything up, you're going to, pieces are going to slide, and they're going to move, and it's going to be sad, because then they are going to be glued in the wrong spot. So just be aware of that. I like the ability to be able to move things around in case, you know, I need to just adjust a little bit as I'm putting things down. But you have to be careful because everything does need to lay flat before you display it. So, all right, I'm just putting the little centers in my daisies here and making sure they're in the right spots. How cute are those? That's our little banner. Don't need that tape now. Okay, we have our little, yeah, we'll do this guy next. Little flower pot. And that's where that's going. Maybe. Okay. And then our little fresh as a daisy goes across the top here. cutie patootie. Look at it. Love it. This is my favorite part because everything starts to come together and it's like, oh my gosh, it's so cute. Sometimes it's hard when there are so many pieces and it's all over. It's like, oh, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know how it's going to look. And you start putting it together and you're like, oh, it's so cute. Every time. Every time, I swear. Every time. I'm just like, oh, I love it. All right, so this doesn't want to cooperate. We have the word flowers. We're going to put that right here. And I'm noticing that this is a very delicate, so be careful with it. If it breaks, you can just glue it together. It's not the end of the world, but just be aware of that. All right, flowers. And then we've got the daisy, which we painted white, the word daisy. So put some glue there. We've got the etched lines to show us where that goes. Okay. Plop these puppies down. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, send us a message, or email us at info@holyrustic.com. We will be happy to answer any questions that you have about any of our subscription boxes or kits. Not all of our kits have step-by-step directional videos like this, but some of them do. So if you are looking for, it's your first time and you want to make sure you know how to put pieces together, you can always check out the YouTube channel and make sure that there's a video for the kit that you're purchasing before you purchase it, if you want that step-by-step direction. So like I said, once you put a couple of these kits together, most of them are pretty easy to do. And if there's one that's a little more tricky, I do generally try to do a video for that. Sometimes they just have some interesting pieces that it's not super clear how they're supposed to go. All right, we've got the word sunshine. I love how that yellow pops on the blue. So pretty. Okay, I'm gonna put a couple of these flowers. I'm gonna put 2 on our car here. And I'm gonna put 2 on this little sign. I'm gonna put 1 in each one of these little corners. That's a really tight fit. I think it'll fit there. I'll put this slightly bigger one over here. Cute. All right, there she is. Look at her. She's so cute. Okay. All right, let's talk about these stands. So the car has this long stand with 2 spots here where the tires can sit, and then you have this piece that doesn't have any holes. So we're just going to glue these together, just make you a little sandwich out of them, just to give that a little bit more stability there. And then the way this will work, and you can either glue the car in or you can leave it out, but it will just set in there like that so that it can stand up a little bit better. Okay. Again, we've got to let that lay flat. And then you've got your little fresh as a daisy, which is where, no. We're going to put this on the back of this Daisy Flowers Sunshine sign. I'm going to grab my heat gun and give this just a quick dry because I'm going to have to flip it over. So I want to be sure that these are pretty stable. So we'll give it just a quick dry. Now I know this glue is not 100% set. It still needs to definitely lay flat, but by drying it just a little, it's a little more set than it is. It's not 100% permanent, but it'll keep my pieces from moving around too much while I have it upside down. If I was doing this for myself and I wasn't doing it for you guys, I would let this dry completely, come back tomorrow and put the back on it. So you can do with that what you will. If you do it that way, you're much more likely to put pieces in the right spot and not have anything move on you. Doing it this way is you're kind of taking a risk that things might move around when you don't want them to. Okay, that looks pretty good. Those pieces are still wiggly, but I think they're going to be okay. We're going to flip this upside down. And you have these 3 pieces here. So, nope, that piece goes to that. You have these 2 pieces here. So what this is going to do is create almost like an easel type situation where this is going to stand up on its own. It'll give you a little thing for it to lean on. So I'll show you kind of what is going on the back up there. I know it's hard to see, but what you're going to do is you're going to take this rectangle piece, okay, and we're going to glue this down here at the bottom because we want this stick to be close enough to the bottom that it's going to stand up. I'm going to put a little bit of glue right here in this hole, that little notch, and then the end of this stick that is more angled than the other. So see how this one's pretty straight and this one is right in there like that. You could put it down with a piece of painter's tape if you need to, but what's going to happen once all that's dry is then this is going to stand up on its own and you don't need anything to make that stand up. Okay, so we will set her to the side. And then I forgot, for some reason I was thinking this piece went with that whole situation, but it doesn't. It goes with this cute little flower pot, and that way this can just sit inside here. So we just need to paint this real fast. We've got some blue on our sponge. We'll just use that. And give that a little dry. And then, of course, inside your box, you're going to have some jute string that you can use to string your banner with. You could tie a little piece around this flower pot if you want. However you want to finish this out. I think it looks super cute just like this. It just is so simple, but really adorable. Just a fun little spring kit. So let me know what you think of this design if you like it. I would love to see yours finished and setting up wherever you set your pieces up. I'm getting a little extra now. I'm kind of coming around the edges of this daisy with this blue. See how that just makes it, you can't even see that on the camera. Just barely a little bit of blue. All right. Anywho's, okay, so this is our kit. We've got the car. We have our Hello Sunshine. We have our cute little Fresh as a Daisy flower pot. You've got your little banner, and then you've got this little daisy flower sunshine sign. So stinking cute. Perfect for spring. Even into summer. Nothing says spring, really. So this is one of those kits you could leave up all the way, all through summer. Move it around off your tiered tray, put it over on a mantle or whatever, and it's perfect all summer long because it's just bright, pretty colors. And you could change this up. I think it would be really cute with the pink and the yellow, or like a coral color even would be nice. So lots of different ways you can personalize this, and I cannot wait to see yours. I hope that you've enjoyed painting with me today, and I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. Thanks, y'all.